All right, let's dive in. We've got some amazing material to cover today, all about the osprey. This one came from a listener, and I'm really excited about this one.
It's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, from what I was reading beforehand, these birds are incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at their adaptations, their global presence, and how they went from almost disappearing to, a real conservation success story.
Yeah, they're really a fascinating example of, we always think of eagles and hawks as birds of prey,
Yeah.
but the osprey is very unique in the world of raptors.
I'm ready to find out why.
Hmm.
Let's start with something basic, like their diet. I read they eat almost exclusively fish. Like 99% of their diet is fish. Is that right?
You got it. That's right. And it's this hyper specialization on fish that really makes the osprey stand out. It's why they're often called the fish hawk.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what makes them such good fish hunters? I know they have like a 5 to 6 foot wingspan.
Oh, that's definitely part of it, yeah. But there's so much more. They've got all these physical adaptations that are just remarkable. For example, their feet. Their outer toes are actually reversible.
Reversible toes.
Yeah, reversible.
So like they can change which way their toes are pointing.
Exactly. It gives them like this crazy strong grip on slippery fish. It's like having an extra thumb for grabbing.
Wow.
And their talons are those super sharp curved claws.
Yep.
Almost like fish hooks. And then to top it off, they've got these rough, spiny pads on their feet called spicules.
Spicules.
Spicules. And those help them get even more traction.
It's like they have like built-in fishing gear or something.
Oh, it really is. And here's another one. They can close their nostrils during dives.
Oh, wow.
Which keeps water from getting into their respiratory system. It's an incredible adaptation for a bird that, basically plunges headfirst into water to catch its food.
I'm trying to imagine being able to just close my nose like that.
Right.
Mind-blowing.
It is. So it's no wonder that with all this specialized, gear that they're so successful. And what's even more amazing is you can find these birds on every continent.
Really?
Except Antarctica.
Wow. I mean, that's incredible. So they really are a global citizen. What makes them so adaptable to all these different types of environments all over the world?
Well, they can really thrive near any body of water, that has a good, healthy fish population, rivers, lakes, coastlines, you name it. They've even been known to make themselves at home near reservoirs. So they adapt even to, human-made environments as well.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. And they migrate too, right?
You bet.
North American ospreys head down to Central and South America for the winter.
Yeah, that's right.
And the European ospreys, they head to Africa, right?
Yeah, to Africa, it's really incredible.
Yeah. So we've got these adaptable birds going on these incredible journeys all over the planet. But
Yep.
let's talk about their nests for a second. I read that they're not super picky about where they build them.
Right, they're very resourceful. Trees, cliffs, even man-made structures, like utility poles, cell phone towers, you name it. And their nests are these big platforms made of sticks.
Okay.
And they reuse them. They add to them every year. So some of them can get really impressive over time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So adaptable, resourceful. Okay, I'm getting a good sense of their, personality. But what I'm really dying to hear about is their hunting technique.
It's pretty awesome.
Because it sounds dramatic.
Yeah. They soar high above the water, just scanning for any sign of fish with their incredible vision. And once they spot a fish, they hover like they're calculating, the perfect angle, and then boom.
That plunge, I can just imagine the splash.
Yeah, it's a headfirst dive, perfectly timed to snatch the fish right out of the water.
Wow.
And then here's a cool little detail. After they catch a fish, they reorient it so it's headfirst for better aerodynamics on the flight back.
So they're thinking about efficiency.
Oh, totally.
Like, how do I get this fish back to my nest in the best possible way?
You got it. Nature's efficiency at its finest.
Yeah, it really is. But I know there's a darker side to their story, right? With the impacts of things like pesticides, like DDT.
Yeah, you're right. The mid-20th century was really tough on them.
Right.
Habitat destruction, hunting, and all this pesticide contamination really led to a steep decline in their numbers.
Yeah.
DDT especially really had a devastating effect on them because it interfered with their ability to make strong eggshells, so their eggs would break. And that led to a real population crash for a lot of bird species.
Really sad, yeah.
It was. It's a reminder of, how human actions have these unintended consequences on the environment.
Absolutely. But, the good news is they've made a comeback, haven't they?
Yes, thankfully. Banning DDT was huge.
Yeah.
But we've also had all these conservation efforts that have helped, things like nest protection and in creating artificial nesting platforms.
So a lot of, active measures to try to, bring their populations back up.
Exactly. And it's been really successful in many areas.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, ospreys aren't considered endangered in most parts of the world anymore.
So that's a real conservation success story then.
Yeah, it's something to celebrate.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
we also have to remember that conservation is an ongoing process.
Of course. Yeah.
They're still facing challenges with habitat loss, pollution, climate change. So it's going to take continued effort to make sure those populations stay healthy.
Absolutely. So it's not just about celebrating past victories, but also continuing to look ahead and
Yeah,
making sure we're doing what we need to do to protect these amazing creatures.
absolutely.
I mean, it's incredible how much we've uncovered about these birds already, from
Yeah.
their special adaptations to their global journeys and their fight for survival. The osprey story is pretty captivating.
It is. And we're just getting started, really. There's so much more to discover about their behavior, the migrations and how they act as these indicators of, environmental health.
Before we move on, is there anything that stood out to you so far? Like, what's been the most fascinating or surprising thing you've learned about the osprey? Hold on to that thought. We're going to be diving deeper into the world of the osprey in the next part of our deep dive.
I've got to say, those reversible toes, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Pretty high on my list of, wow, osprey facts, yeah. But, we were talking about their hunting earlier,
Right.
and it made me think about their vision.
Yeah,
I mean, they have to be able to spot fish from pretty high up.
they do. And their vision is amazing. They can spot a fish from over 100 feet up in the air.
Over 100 feet. I mean, that's like, can you even imagine?
It's hard to fathom, right?
It's like seeing a dime on the sidewalk from, the top of a 10-story building or
It
something.
really is incredible.
How do they do that?
Well, it's a few things. Their eyes are, proportionally larger than many other birds of prey,
Okay.
and they're positioned more forward on their head, which gives them that, that binocular vision.
So, like us humans then, right?
Yeah.
With our eyes, both facing forward.
Exactly, yeah. It helps them judge distances accurately, which is so important when you're trying to catch a fish underwater.
Yeah, for sure.
And then they also have this really dense concentration of photoreceptor cells in a specific part of the retina. It's called the fovea.
Okay.
And that basically acts like a telephoto lens, so they can see the tiniest details,
Wow.
even in low light.
So even as, the sun's going down, they can still,
Yeah, still be out there hunting.
wow. It's just amazing how all these adaptations work together.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not just their vision. They actually use their hearing to hunt as well.
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't have thought, for a fish-eating bird,
Right.
that hearing would be so important.
Yeah. It's not their main sense, obviously.
Right.
But, they can detect the sounds of fish swimming near the surface,
Interesting.
especially in shallow water. So,
So they're listening for those, telltale, splashes and ripples and stuff.
yeah.
So, I mean, talk about being fine-tuned for success, right?
over there.
You've got the amazing vision, and you're also, picking up those cues from, underwater.
Exactly.
Very cool. I'm also, thinking about their social life. Are they loners or do they hang out in groups? What's the deal there?
Yeah. Generally, they are pretty solitary.
Oh, so-
They're very territorial when it comes to their fishing grounds. But things change a bit during breeding season. They form really strong pair bonds that can last for years.
So, they become a team then when it comes to raising a family.
Absolutely. They work together. They build the nest. They maintain it, incubate the eggs, and then they take care of the chicks together.
So they're sharing, those responsibilities.
Yeah, very much so. It's a real shared responsibility.
That's cool. And how many chicks do they usually have?
A typical clutch is 2 to 4 eggs.
Okay.
They're incubated for about 5 weeks,
Okay.
and then the chicks stay in the nest for another, 8 to 10 weeks
Wow.
before they're ready to take that first flight.
Oh, yeah. What's that called? There's a special word for that.
Fledging.
Fledging. And even after they fledge, do they stay with their parents or do they just take off on their own?
No, they actually stay with their parents for several more weeks, learning the ropes, learning how to hunt.
Oh, so it's like Osprey flight school.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning from mom and dad. That's cool.
Yeah.
But even with all their amazing skills and adaptations,
Yeah.
I'm guessing, life in the wild still has its challenges, right? They must have predators to watch out for.
Oh, for sure. They're part of, a big complex food web. Their eggs and chicks are vulnerable to things like raccoons, snakes, even other birds sometimes.
So those big nests aren't always like guaranteed, safe space.
Not always, no.
What about the adults? What do they have to watch out for?
They're less vulnerable than the young ones,
Right.
but they can still be targeted by larger raptors like eagles.
Oh, okay.
And in some areas, they even have to watch out for alligators.
Alligators. Wow. Okay, that's intense.
That is.
You really do get a sense of the challenges of life in the wild when you think about it like that.
Yeah.
Even for, a bird as skilled and adaptable as the osprey. We were talking earlier about, the effects of DDT
Right.
and all the negative things that humans, have done that have impacted the ospreys. But, we've also played a positive role in their recovery too, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. Banning DDT was, obviously a huge turning point. But all these dedicated conservation efforts, they've really played a big role in helping ospreys bounce back.
What kind of efforts are we talking about specifically?
Well, we mentioned artificial nesting platforms. Those have been very effective,
Okay.
especially in areas where there just aren't enough, suitable natural nesting sites.
Okay. Yeah.
So that gives them a safe place to raise their young. And there are also a lot of programs that, monitor osprey populations,
hmm
keeping track of their numbers, their movements, making sure they're doing okay.
So providing them with safe havens, but also keeping an eye on how they're doing.
Exactly.
It makes sense. But there's more to it than just those direct interventions.
Right. Public education is really important.
Okay. Yeah.
Making sure people understand ospreys, their importance in the ecosystem, the challenges they face. That's a huge part of it because, when people understand and appreciate these birds, they're more likely to support conservation efforts.
Yeah. It's like, knowledge is power,
That's
right?
exactly.
The more we learn about them, the more we can, appreciate them and want to protect them. And it's not just about saving, one species.
Right.
Ospreys are considered an indicator species, which means...
It means their health is kind of a reflection of the overall health of the environment they're living in.
Oh, right.
So if the ospreys are doing well,
Uh-huh.
it's a good sign that, the rivers, lakes, and coastlines that they depend on are also healthy.
So they're like a barometer for, the well-being of the whole environment.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that's a really cool concept.
And it also means that, protecting ospreys isn't just about protecting one species. It's about protecting these, entire interconnected webs of life.
Right.
So what can we do? What can we do as individuals to help ensure that these birds keep thriving?
That's the big question.
Right. It is.
So I'm all ears. Tell me, what can we do?
Well, we can support organizations that are doing this great work, to protect ospreys, whether it's through donations or volunteering or just, spreading the word about the work they do. Every little bit makes a difference.
I like that. So, it doesn't have to be these grand gestures. It can be these small actions that
Yeah.
we all take together.
It's exactly
Right.
being mindful of our own impact on the environment.
Okay, yeah.
Reducing pesticide use,
Mhm.
disposing of, fishing line properly. All those things can make a difference.
Yeah.
Advocating for responsible development practices.
Right.
So that, we protect natural habitats.
Yeah, it's that reminder that we're all connected.
We are.
And our actions have these, ripple effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we need to be mindful. What else? What else can we do?
Sometimes I think just, taking the time to appreciate the beauty of nature
Yeah.
can be a powerful motivator for conservation.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. If people took the time to, to really see an osprey, to watch them in action,
Yeah.
that dive, the soaring, it's just, it's incredible. Have you ever witnessed that firsthand?
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it never gets old. It really is one of those experiences that stays with you. The power, the grace, the precision. It's really awe-inspiring.
I bet. If